What is up, everybody? I am Taylor. Welcome back to my channel, and this is the Cranky Comic Book Review Show, or as I like to call it, the Comic Book Review Show, or airing of grievances, or I don't know. I don't have not good titles, people. Not good titles. That's why I never changed my YouTube name to anything other than just my name. It's a lot of work. I'm lazy. All my time is spent reading this kind of bullshit. So let's get into it. Worst to best. Actually, it's an okay week for comics again. Either that or I'm just getting better at not buying crappy comics, which also might be the case. But there are some shitheads and some. That's not what I meant. That's not the word I was going to use. But whatever. Let's get into it. Worst to best. Worst by a lot. SpiderPunk, #1. I like the cover. I think Marvel's punking us with this, or they're being the ultimate in irony because, Punk is anti-corporation, anti-everything, anti-Venom. This is a corporate comic put out by a corporate company, and everything about it just screams fucking corporate. It's on the shittiest paper I think I've ever read a comic book on. And that, I mean, honestly, how much was this? This was $4, and it was garbage. The paper quality alone, like every single copy the LCS had was beat up. There's spine ticks, there's like just dings everywhere, and it's just flimsy as all hell. I would take it out of here, but I think it might disintegrate in my hands. Yeah, and then the story. Okay, Marvel used to have at least a little bit of nuance when telling stories, maybe at least not every comic, but once in a while, right? So when you get this sort of Elseworlds, this isn't even an Elseworlds. I think it's in continuity, but like it's an alternate reality where there's the punk rock version of Spider-Man, right? So that obviously means the entire world has to be punk rock, and like just bad lyrical references to punk songs and bad punk rock Nazi villains and. This was an exhausting read. I hated the lettering. I hated the artwork. I hated the story. It was just goddamn stupid, and it was just not good. I bought it because I'm going to speculate in horror, and there's the first appearance of Iron Punk, Punk Riri, Punk Williams. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's just bad, and it's not going to go anywhere. And I am done with it. I should have trusted my instincts and did not even pick it up. But I'm sometimes a sucker. And I got suckered in. I thought, well, maybe there's a chance it's okay, right? No, it was just stupid, honestly. And I don't know why it exists. No, I know why. It's a money grab from a corporate company trying to money grab through a punk comic. It's like the Alanis Morissette version of irony. It's not ironic. It's just kind of bad. All right, next we have Strange, issue 2. I like the cover. Hated a lot of the interior art, and this is Jed MacKay, who I normally like. I mean, much further down on this stack is another Jed MacKay book, but all right, not to get into a whole lot of spoilers, but Doctor Strange is dead, right? And I mean, they're gonna bring him back because the movie's coming out, so like. Whatever, and he's coming back, but this whole thing is like Clea as now the Sorcerer Supreme, but also Dark Dimension Mistress, something. Whatever. And like now in this issue, there's a conflict between those two powers, but like she's such a one-note, like strong, bullheaded character that it's just really boring to read. And then like you get inconsistent artwork, and you get some kind of zombie version of something or other in here. And a nameless villain that's just without any motivation, and it's just a bad comic. It really is. It's I might give it one more issue. I shouldn't get fooled again. Like I like the Doctor Strange character. I like the Clea character. I like reading Doctor Strange when Doctor Strange is done well. And I know Jed MacKay can write, but I don't know what the fuck he's doing here because this is just not a good comic. And honestly, I thought I'd like the cover, but now looking at it, like that's like a 6 head here. Like I don't know, that weird mask. It's just the proportion. I don't know, everything about this drove me nuts. All right, a little bit better, sorta. We have Alice Ever After #1. I didn't really care for this one either. I know other people really liked it. This is Alice growing up as a drug addicted adult miscreant that there's hints and allegations, and not hints and allegations. I am failing at my words today, people. All right, there's the idea that maybe Wonderland's all in her head in here, and she just takes these drugs to escape from her shitty reality, which is fine. But it's just the story itself has like really bizarre pacing, and like I didn't really like love the omniscient merit. Like there's two cats that are narrating this thing sort of omnipotently. The all knowing narrator, omniscient, not all powerful. I'm not omnipotent, omniscient. Words really are hard this week. I didn't like that narrative trick. I didn't really care for the plot. I didn't care for much of this at all. It was okay, but like I really enjoy the Alice in Wonderland book, and like this just didn't have any of the sort of nuance and subtlety and like any of the even sense of playfulness that that book has. Even though it's a scathing critique of society, when you really boil that book down, this doesn't. This is just like a one level, like I don't know. It's not even a retelling of it. It's just other people like it. Like other people liked it. The art's okay, but yeah, there's like jarring time transitions from page turn to page turn, and yeah, I don't know. I'm just gonna let it trail off into mumbling this week. I don't have any words, but whatever. All right, next we're getting better. Those are the crappy books. Now we're into the okay books. This came out last week, and everybody bought it for like $400. Right? It was another one of them spec books. I had it on my pull list. My shop got shorted, but look, it's here a week later. Batman Beyond the White Knight. Sean Murphy art, Dave Stewart colors. First appearance and out of continuity of Batman Beyond. Makes no sense as a spec book because it's out of continuity. Batman Beyond's already been beyonding as Batman. Wait, did I have this in order? Did I miss one? I might have missed one. Hang on a second. Oh, yeah, I did. All right. Okay, pretend I'm going to review this, and then I'll go to the other one, because like the other one deserves to be lower than this. I'm an addled mess today, people. But, yeah, this isn't bad. I preferred Mateo Scalera's art on the last run with Harley Quinn. I prefer the focus of Harley Quinn. This does continue the story of the White Knight and stuff, and the alternate universe. I like Sean Murphy's art. I just liked him better when he had a partner. And actually, this story's not awful. It's just not adding a whole lot to anything. It progresses the plot forward 10 years, and it progresses everything else forward 10 years in the universe. And it's decent. It's just kind of not the hype that was built around this last week for whatever reason. I don't quite get. I dig it. I'll probably trade weight it out from here on out though. Like I'm trying to get better at some of that and trying to like save some money and not just kill the planet and my wallet with buying every damn book that comes out. And this was better, and this deserves to be further down the list. I kind of shuffled it a bit when I was taking thumbnails for the vid, and I put this one in the wrong order, so I apologize, but figure this book's like 3 or 4 more down the stack. This one, on the other hand, is probably where it should be. It actually is worse than the other one. This is Batman Beyond Neo Year. Dun, dun, dun. This is a baffling first issue. It's continuing from an Urban Legends, I guess, which I didn't read. And it just kind of reminds me of Future State Batman. Like, I don't know. I think this is in continuity, according to from what I could tell. It's not a Future State book, but it feels like it, and it's kind of just weirdly told with a sort of villain that not that interesting. Really bad character design on one of the other ones that shows up. It reminds me a whole lot of like a Liefeld character. Like let me actually pull that one out, because like honestly for a 2022 character, it's like this just seems like a very bizarre choice to me. Like, does that not scream? I mean, it's a modern drawing, but that's just kind of the giant shoulder pads, everything else, just like, oh, it's 1994 all over again. In the future, it's like the future filtered through the eyes of Liefeld. Like, there's the other character in here. It's just, I don't know. It's just, this book didn't make a ton of sense. Didn't do anything to really grab my interest in any of it. Didn't feel like a great characterization of Terry McGinnis or any of it. So, yeah. Like I said, I'm just mumbling off into the distance today. All right. Yeah. Hang on. Yeah, we're gonna shift these around a little bit. Yeah. Okay. This is my One Star Squadron number 5. I've been reading this. I've really been enjoying it. This is my least favorite issue of this one, and it's not because Well, yeah, it is because this book took a darker tone, which it's Mark Russell, so I expected some kind of tonal shift, like some kind of dark message behind it. But like, it didn't seem to like what happens in this issue doesn't really see the ending of it doesn't really seem to fit the rest of this series that much, at least in my opinion. I still like the art by Lieber. I still generally like the office place environment that's going on in here. I kind of dig the characterization, but it kind of seems like it lost the sort of deft touch that it had in previous issues, and now it's just kind of like, oh, we're gonna hit with a hammer, and that this book feels like a little bit of a hammer hit instead of a tappy tap tap, a light little tappy love tap. This is just a hammer tap. There's one issue left. I'm interested to see how it wraps up. I'll keep going with it, obviously, because I'm this far into it. The art by Lieber is really pretty strong. Nice clean line work and everything else. And I liked the idea of Down on Their Luck heroes working as a hero for hire. Oh, no, that's Marvel. It's trademarked, patented. Lawyers, cease and desist. But that's kind of it. They're working hero for hire, birthday parties and whatnot. And this is where it took a dark turn, and you learn sort of what's behind it all. I don't think this book really needed a what's behind it all, but there's a what's behind it all. All right. Yeah, all right. She-Hulk number, what is this one? 4, 3? 3. Not much happens in this one. And honestly, it's more of a Jack of Hearts book than a She-Hulk book. There's She-Hulk in here, and like, there's that. It's kind of fun and playful in parts. And I like I like Rainbow Rowell's characterization of She-Hulk. I do wish there was actually some fourth wall breaking that was previous incarnations of the character. There's not been any of that in this, but I like the kind of lawyery office stuff. I wish there was more of that. I wish there was less Jack of Hearts. The Jack of Hearts character, I get this is the arc. It's the Jack of Hearts arc. It's the whatever. I just wish there's something that actually happened in this one. There really isn't anything that happened, like at all. It's very verbose, very dialogue heavy. Again, it's decent, but it's just kind of like, do something in a hero book. A little bit something, a little bit. All right. How are we gonna do this? Yeah, we're gonna do this one. Batman 122. This is the what is this? What are they calling this thing? The Shadow War Part 2. This is continuing the Shadow War Alpha, apparently, and I guess it's not going to be spreading out into 4,000 little side books, which I like. I like the fact that you can kind of keep this up if you just read the main titles in each of these books. It's probably going to be Deathstroke next. I'm not reading Deathstroke, but I'll probably pick up that issue just so I can know what's going on. And, yeah, it's Josh Williamson. The art is by Porter. The art's not my favorite art. It's not bad. And, yeah, this is just continuing the Alpha story. If you're not reading that, I don't want to spoil a whole lot of it. But there's a mystery with Deathstroke. There's Robin. There's Batman. Batman being kind of Batman. The characterization in this one of Batman feels a little off to me. I don't know. I'm trying to put my at least compared to what's been going on previously in the book. He's using tools and tricks and high tech, high money things that like they sort of claimed he wouldn't have access to anymore. But for the sake of the story, you just kind of hand wave that away and go on with this. But it's fun. It's not. I like the first issue or the Shadow War Alpha a lot better than this one. This was good. This continues it up, and it's solid enough. And like, turns out whoever they first thought was behind it's probably not behind it. I know it's shocking, right? That's never the case in a comic story or a TV story or a movie or any story ever told. It's good. Yeah, we're in the probably fine plus section now, so I liked it. It's not great, but it's better than the rest of the pile. Devil's Reign 6 of 6. This is the last issue of Devil's Reign. It sets up the next arc of Daredevil, which I think is also going to be Zdarsky. Yeah, it's like changes the status quo and everything you knew was wrong. Not really. It changes a little bit. What I do like is this finally is not just a Civil War clone, and it kind of just wraps it up into a more personal Daredevil story. It probably didn't need the 4,000 spin-offs and shit, but it's Marvel. You give Marvel a chance to try and make money, they're going to make money. They're going to use really shitty paper and make a book called SpiderPunk. And that's kind of like, I feel like Marvel's just punking all of us with some of this stuff. Like some of the spin-offs, I didn't read all of them, but the ones I did read were a real mixed bag, had nothing to do with the plot, and like there was no need for them. You could just read this A title and be caught up. But this does set up some interesting things. I like Marco Cicchetto's art quite a bit. I like some of the use of the Kingpin in here, and like I liked Luke Cage in here quite a bit. So like Luke Cage didn't get quite enough time, but I do think that they wrap this up pretty solidly, and they set up something that has potential to be pretty interesting in the next arc of Daredevil. So there you go, Devil's Reign. Yeah, now we have Firepower number 19. You could probably watch any review I've done of Firepower and it'll be about the same. Like, it's a great book. It's fast-paced. The action keeps moving forward. Every time you think you know what's going on, they change the status quo. And Chris Samnee's art is fantastic. Just rinse and repeat that for 19 issues. I don't have a whole lot new to add to this. It's a solid book. It's been solid from day one. And this is like the Kirkman pulling the Kirkman. We're like, I think we're about to meet major new characters. And everything's going to change again. But there's a cool double spread of a dragon in here. And that's all I really need. Read Firepower. Just pick it up. Read it in trade. Read it digitally. Just somehow just read it. You're going to have a good time. Especially with like really fast-paced martial arts books with a little bit of a family flair. And yeah, it's... I don't have a lot of faults with this one. I haven't from day one. I know some people aren't big on Kirkman's writing. I don't get it. I think, at least in this, he's been fantastic. And I think Chris Samnee's art is like stellar. He doesn't use an excessive amount of line work and stuff. He's pretty minimal when it comes to that. But what he does do is effective. And when he tells a story, you're never, ever confused as to what the hell's going on in the story. Like, ever. Every panel makes sense. Every panel's clear. And his layouts are solid, and you're never like trying to figure out which way to read the page, which is saying something in today's comics. There's a lot of that where you're like, what the fuck's going on, and how do I read this? And they have to think. And I don't know. If you want some brainless fun, or lighthearted, easy to read fun, just read Firepower. All right. Speaking of the opposite direction of things, not really, but whatever. I needed a transition. We have Red Room Trigger Warnings number 2. Ed Piskor. If you've read anything I've said about Ed Piskor's Red Room, you can probably just copy and paste that into this review. It's been solid from day one. It's self-contained stories for each issue. Ed's art's fantastic. His storytelling is great. It's gory. It's gritty. It's like over the top. You can tell he's got like this love letter to like twisted indie horror and like just weird ass movies and underground like comics, and that really shows in here. You meet the pumpkins. This might be my least favorite cover of Ed's. I like the rest of them a lot better. This is nice. It's nice and graphic designy, but it just doesn't seem to have the flair of some of his other covers if I'm really nitpicking it. And that's kind of about it as far as the nitpicking goes. It's a blast. It's not for the faint of heart. There's a lot of like gruesome horror that gets shown here. But it's not, I mean, if you've ever gone to see like a horror movie, you're not gonna be shocked by this. It's not. I mean, it's about on the same level as watching a Saw movie as far as the visual violence. A lot better than the Saw movies as far as like the story goes. And this story is an interesting one. You can probably guess the twist coming at least a little bit ahead of when it actually twists and comes. See what I did? Anyways, yeah. But I'm loving Red Room. Always solid. Always delightful. Next, we have Little Monsters by Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen. This is issue number 2. I watched an interview this week with Jeff Lemire, and I'm pretty sure it is pronounced Lemire, unlike certain people are calling it Lemire, at least according to the interview. But he described this as Lord of the Flies meets vampires at the end of the world. And this is Lord of the Flies meets vampires at the end of the world. I love the cover. And this issue is a lot better than the first issue. You sort of not learn what's going on, but like you get a little bit peek behind the curtain and like you learn where this is going to go as a story. The first issue was pretty light on story. This one, it's still fairly light, but it does progress the idea far enough. Dustin's art is gorgeous. It's black and white for the most part with like little color splashes of red or whatever, but it's mostly a black and white book. I think it's digitally inked on like the cover because it just feels like that, or at least there's digital touch-ups in there, which I don't have a problem with. And yeah, it's little kid vampires that are kids. They're not grown-ups. They're acting like kids. So you get like kid motivations without any parental, like kids have been alone for hundreds of years as vampires, but are still kids as vampires acting like kids as vampires. And there's a power struggle that's starting to take place a la Lord of the Flies. I don't want to spoil it any more than that, but yeah, give it a whirl. And I think you'll enjoy it. You could probably trade weight it. think there's 5 issues, and it's a pretty fast read. So maybe if you don't want to read the individual issues from month to month, just wait and get at the end of things. But I dug it quite a bit. I'm always a fan of Lemire's stuff, and Dustin Ann's art always grabs me as well. All right, my favorite book of the week. Not my favorite cover. I really don't like this cover, but we have another Jed MacKay book. And I'm probably biased because I really like Moon Knight. But this is Jed MacKay with Cappuccio on the art. My nitpick, and I'm going to get this out of the way at first, is the art feels like it's a Saturday morning cartoony a bit in here. The art's not quite the same, like, flowy, twisty ropiness that it was in previous issues that he's drawn. Like, I don't know if the coloring is different or if it's just, like, line work's a little different in this one. But it wasn't my favorite art of his. I still like the art. I still like the story, and I think it's a great story. This is just, without spoiling it, each issue has been like a one-and-done story in here, and it's like kind of building the overall narrative. And this is just Moon Knight being a badass. Like, it really is. It's like, you read it, you're like, oh yeah, it's badass. And sometimes that's all you want out of a comic, and that's all I wanted out of this comic. I wanted to be like, man, I want something badass. So I got badass. You get badass in here. You don't get badass in Clea. You get weird motivations, which pretend badass. You get fake badass, but this is actual badass, I think. And I dug it. The other thing I would say is I hope at some point they do delve a little bit more into Moon Knight's mental health stuff, because it's not really been touched on a whole lot in this series. Even though if you read this issue, you're like, wait, that's sort of touching on it, isn't it? It sort of is, but not really. Without spoiling it, you'll see what I mean by the not really. And, yeah, I do like the idea also that Moon Knight's kind of like a savior figure in here, but not a gentle one. Kind of fits his Fish to Khonshu and like his serving the dick-headed Khonshu god thing. So, also that's not been touched on a whole lot in this arc yet. I think we're getting there. But yeah, Moon Knight, my favorite book this week. Honestly, it was a very quick read, but like, yeah, when it leaves you feeling like, yeah, there's sometimes you just want to read a comic where you just feel at the end of it, you're like, yeah, that's what I remember about reading comics as a kid. That I feel like it's kind of excitement. Now, there's not necessarily a kid's comic, but it just left me with that feeling at the end of it all. So there you have it. That's kind of what I read this week. Let me know what you thought. If you like what I'm doing, hit the subscribe bell, hit the notification bell when I drop these videos, so I know when I drop these videos. Hit the like button. I'm getting slowly crawling my way to 1,000 followers. I think everybody else I know has already gotten there, which is fine. I'm like the PBS channel with swearing. I don't expect it to grow quickly. But it'd be nice if I got there, because then I could run ads, and you can be forced to sit and watch shitty ads to support the channel. And until that happens, though, you can buy T-shirts on TaylorWinder.com or whatever. You don't have to, but it'd be nice. Anyways, the link to my website's down below. I do sell on Whatnot too. That invite's down below. That link's down below. If you've never used it before, you get $10 if you sign up with that link. That helps. I've been kind of sporadic about selling it. I'm gonna get back on a regular schedule, probably. I keep saying that, and then I just don't. That's all I got. I suppose I need some witty way to say "Don't be a dick." Don't be a dick, even if you can't think of a witty way to say "Don't be a dick." See ya.